Hey, great to see you. Christy and Alonso here doing our live thing as we like to do. Hopefully, you'll see us very, very soon. We should be popping up in your screen there. I think I see us.
Willkommen, bienvenue,
Hi, there I
welcome.
am. One quick second, please, and we'll get caught up with you here in the world. There we are. Okay. How are we? I'm kind of blurry and you are very clear.
All right.
That is interesting. Hi, everybody. Hi, David. Hi, Jesse. Hi, Joanna. Hi, Tamo. Hi, Ed Looney. Tamo is in Chicago. That's very exciting. I don't know
Nice.
why my screen is like, I guess it's clearing up now. There I am. It's better now. It was a little bit blurry there at first. Okay. Hello, friends. A lot to talk about today. We saw The Crow last night. There is debate as to whether it actually did screen for critics or
Yes.
not. I did not hear a thing about it. You did not hear a thing about it. Other folks
Mm-mm.
did not hear a thing about it, but then influencers saw it.
And some critics we know saw it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we should be in communication with each other better.
No, I did not see anything either. Like neither of us saw anything about it.
Yeah,
So
no, didn't get it. Not a peep.
my husband's calling me. Doesn't he know I'm going live right now? I said no calls.
Hold on,
Okay.
calls.
Stop. Hi to Hayden in Albuquerque. Hello to Marty in Ontario. Hello to Alistair in Australia. Great, great, great.
Wow. Hey.
Hi, everybody. The Crow last night, we saw it. There's a review out there. Take a look. We posted a quick review afterward. Will you guys see The Crow? Do you care about The Crow? It is, I think, like 18% ish last I
Ugh.
looked on the tomato meter. So
Yeah,
that is no.
apparently Alex Proyas, who directed the original The Crow, is on Facebook basically like wishing nothing but ill to this remake. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's so interesting.
yeah.
What it so ooh.
I think because of the Brandon Lee connection, he's like, could we not? And so he's having Schadenfreude now.
Yeah, I think it's hard to watch this without thinking about him for
Sure,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, Jesse says he has an unpopular opinion. I've never been a fan of the original Crow. A lot of folks feel really strongly about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you can not like the original and still find this remake, in dubious taste.
Yeah, for sure. But what's interesting, Alonzo, that you saw a trailer for Megalopolis, which is something that
Uh-huh.
I wanted to talk about today. So tell us about that.
All right. Well, for a little background of people who haven't been paying attention this week, there's been a whole roller coaster with this Megalopolis trailer. So Lionsgate puts out this trailer, and you hear the voice of somebody who sounds a lot like Lawrence Fishburne, talking about how genius is rarely appreciated. And they show you like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now and Bram Stoker's Dracula, and they run blurbs from these negative reviews from people like Pauline Kael and Andrew Saris and Roger Ebert and Owen Gleiberman and Rex Reed. And the idea being like, oh, these films weren't understood in their moment, but now, of course, people know that they're masterpieces because the original reviews out of Megalopolis and Cannes were not great, and so they want to sort of pair this new Coppola movie with these previous Coppola movies that were misunderstood out of the gate. Problem with that is those review blurbs are almost, I think they're entirely fake. Like Pauline Kael championed The Godfather, and Roger Ebert gave a good review to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like all of the stuff that they quote in this trailer is bollocks. And Peter DeBruge in Variety, who did not care for Megalopolis, realized that if you go to Chat GPT and ask for negative reviews of these movies, it will make them up and give you
Wow.
stuff that's not true. We don't know that's how this trailer came about, but nonetheless, they were immediately busted on it. The Vulture and Variety wrote about how the blurbs were fake, and Lionsgate was like, "Oops, sorry, we're going to yank the review." Cut to Thursday night. I'm seeing The Crow at the Grove at the 6 o'clock show, and I get that Megalopolis trailer with the fake quotes in it. I was like, okay, I guess yanking takes a second because it's not like the old days where it's a 35 millimeter film on a platter and some guys got to go through and cut that trailer off it. It's like, no, it's boop 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 boop, it's all digital now. But nonetheless, I saw that trailer on the big screen. I was like, well, Lionsgate, get your game together.
It's really funny. Yeah, I had a trailer for Megalopolis at my showing at 6 p.m. in my neighborhood, but it was the other one.
Mm,
It was not the one with the quote. So
gotcha.
that was very entertaining. Yeah, Donna's asking, was it all a publicity stunt? No, I think it's a dumb thing they thought they could get away with and did
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. I think they just fucked up.
I think the strategy is not as complicated as a publicity stunt,
And it's like, I get the idea. Like, okay, if somebody's like, okay, the Megalopolis review, the original reviews weren't good. What about his other films? Were they not good as well? Could we maybe parallel that? And then somebody was like, yeah, let me find it. And then again, I don't know if it's Chat GPT. I don't know if some eager intern just made them up out of whole cloth, but it's like, these are not the actual, like, they didn't even quote the actual bad review that Rex Reed wrote about Apocalypse
Yeah.
Now, which they could have. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. Our friend Brent is saying, I have to imagine that Megalopolis trailer was intentionally done as a stunt since it's so easy to fact check. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Sony tried to create a fake critic out of whole cloth once, remember? David
Yes.
Manning.
Yes. So funny. Anyway, so I'll be curious to see what the fallout is from that. We will review Megalopolis
Yes.
when it comes out,
I'm
when we
still
can see
eager to
it.
see it.
Very much so. James Bunt wants to know, are either of you guys coming to Toronto? No.
Sadly, no. I am going to Venice, but I've been to Toronto in a while. That's a great festival. Like, it's not only is the programming really good, but it's very easy to get around. It's a wonderful walking city. It's a great
Yeah.
time of year to be there. I love going to Toronto, and I hope I get the chance to go again at some point.
Yes, Toronto is a great city for sure. So we have that. And then we learned this week that there will not be a season 2 of The Acolyte. We
Yes.
recapped The Acolyte on our Patreon. If you are already a member there, patreon.com/befastalday, you probably watched our recaps. So yeah, it ends in a way that suggests there's going to be more. And there is not going to be now. It got like wildly mixed reviews. I don't know
Yeah.
how it did for Disney Plus in terms of viewership, but it and I would hope that it's not that like it's just the toxicity of the hardcore Star Wars fans that are
That's
driving this
yeah.
away. I would hope not that they're like, oh, it's because it's a girl. She's a girl of color. I'm really,
Lesbian
really
space witches.
hot lesbian space witches. We need
Yeah.
more of those and not
Yes.
less. But I would think, I would hope that if they're making a decision like that, that it is because of the quality of the show and not because of the reaction to it.
Yeah, no, I agree because like we did not love The Acolyte.
No.
There were some episodes we liked more than others, but but we didn't love Ahsoka either, and that didn't get canceled. So yeah, I do hope this is not a response to the loudest chuds on the internet because that would suck and that would not bode well for what future Star Wars projects would look like. I can't throw myself on the sword of The Acolyte because I didn't love the show,
Yeah.
but I would hate to think that the reason it's being canceled is because the most sort of retrograde reactionary elements of the Star Wars fan base bitched about it from the moment it premiered versus what the ratings were like or what the like you said what the quality was like. So I think Leslie Headland is a talented writer, and I hope she gets another crack at something like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I'm trying to look at the positive side of this, but who can say?
Yeah, Amandla Stenberg is good in 2 different roles.
Yeah,
Manny Jacinto was very
yeah.
charismatic in this. And so it had, I think it started strong and it ended strong, but
Hmm.
it didn't need to be 8 episodes long.
No,
Some of those episodes felt very stretched thin, and then it would end, and it's like, wait, what was that about? Why are
yeah,
we here?
this feels like it's in could have been a movie territory, but I
Yeah.
think they haven't figured out a way to do a Star Wars movie that A isn't like super grand in terms of its vision, and also that doesn't include the characters that we know, even if it's just like the droids or somebody's
Mhm.
grandfather. Like this show was, it's set during the Old Republic. It is pre all 9 features. So like it would have been a real gamble to do that as a movie when there isn't like Princess Leia or something to kind of hook into. But yeah, I think of the new Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, there have been worse. So if this is one getting singled out, I really hope it's not getting singled out just because of the awful online
Yeah.
chatter about it.
Yes. Waiting to hit says everything is because of toxicity. Hopefully not.
One could
That's
make a
sad.
case.
That's sad if that's true, but hopefully not. Very sad news that it is official that Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are divorcing. She filed for divorce on August 20th, which is significant because it's the 2-year anniversary of the official big wedding that they had in
Oof.
Georgia. They ran off to Vegas at midnight and got married and posted pictures from that. But then they had a big, lavish extravaganza at his house in Georgia. And so August 20th is exactly 2 months or 2 years rather to the day.
Those two, like I don't even the crazy thing about this, or one of the crazy things about this, is the documentary that she put out this year, the album that she put out this year, that is entirely sort of hinge upon the idea of like, what, I made mistakes in my past and I was
Mm.
impulsive and I was, I was a love addict and I was this and that, but now I've got my shit together and now we're going to make it work and look at us and this is going to be great. It's like, maybe not. Maybe that was a little premature. I don't know. Maybe don't announce these things and it becomes weirder later when they don't work out. I don't know.
Right. So yeah, that whole movie, the whole "This Is Me," then whatever that movie was, and
Now.
then yeah, so "This Is Me Now" is all about how she's like it's like a concept album brought to life in video form, right? With
Mhm.
like different love affairs she's had that were toxic or were wrong, and then she's happy at the end, and then the documentary, which is longer than the movie itself. The
Right. The
behind the
making
scenes
of.
making of documentary is longer than the movie itself, and you see that she shows, oh, these are the letters that Ben sent me, the emails, and I printed them all out and I brought them to the studio and I was working on the album and I want everyone to read them. And like I felt so like cringy and bad for him because it's so private. I wouldn't want
Yeah.
like random people reading what I wrote to my husband when we were young and in love.
Yeah.
Like, and so I can see how that it felt like a betrayal. And I guess they each had different ideas about their public versus private persona,
Yeah.
right? And she's very much out there online, on social media in various sunglasses and bikinis, and that's not who he is.
Right.
And so I don't know. Was it always going to be doomed?
I don't know, but I just think, if you are in the public eye like this, maybe think twice before you announce to the world that, you have overcome a recurrent issue of your past, if only a few months later to find out that, nope, we're doing this again.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was it's funny. Various people, I can't even tell you how many people texted me with the news of Bennifer ending.
They knew you were
Anyway,
invested. Have you
yeah,
seen the photo of Affleck out with oh the SNL guy, the young one who like all the is that
Pete
like a
Davidson.
Pete Davidson holding hands with Pete Davidson.
That's very cute.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard when you're super famous to be married to somebody else who is also super famous.
sure.
Anyway, it's sad. So that happened this past week, and of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention it to you. Something I read about this week that I found kind of like appalling and also totally clever and fascinating is that you can shop what Emily in Paris is wearing with Google Lens. Apparently, you can like hold it up to the screen, and little things will go boop, 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 and it will tell you where you can buy what she is wearing in any particular scene.
I'm amazed it took this long.
Yeah.
This seemed like something that we would have been subjected to on the internet a long time ago. That like if you were watching it on your laptop, you could point and click or something. So like I mean, yes, it's appalling and it's devilishly clever and fiendishly brilliant. But I'm frankly I'm surprised it took this long because I can't like how did and just like that come back, and not an HBO not have set that up somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that means that everything that Emily wears on the show is currently on sale, right? I mean, you're not going to click on things like, "Oh, sorry, vintage," or "Sorry, this is a couture piece." Like everything is going to be mass produced to some extent or other, so that the show can profit on people wanting to dress like her.
Right, it's just like a tail wagging the dog thing, like, they're gonna put her in clothes that are
Just
accessible to the
yeah,
average person versus going to, like, Dior, vintage Dior, which she
right.
would wear in Paris, you know?
Yeah, I guess she'll never wear a Birkin bag unless they're trying to sell those too, like, I
Oh,
don't know,
yeah.
who knows?
Maybe not everything is available, but you're right, I was thinking, like, what if they had that during Sex in the City or Gossip Girl? Like, how
Mhm.
great would that be to be able to shop what they're wearing?
Well, I suspect this is not the last we'll be hearing of this technology. Entire shows will exist now just because they can do this.
Yeah, part of me is like, "Genius," and part of me is like, "That's gross."
No, no, you're both right.
Hello to Dibs in the Philippines. Brian asks if either of you seen Blink Twice, written and directed by Zoe Kravitz. Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to review that after we're done talking to you guys here in a little bit. So we have a review of that later on, as well
And
as Between the Temples.
yes, and you can read my review of Blink Twice at the Film Verdict.
There you go. So that is that. Cameron says kind of like the Truman Show where they bake sponsors into the plot. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I mean, and obviously we've been seeing that a lot where because people are zipping through commercials now, where
yeah.
suddenly characters will stop and talk about like this. Like I remember I used to watch Degrassi The Next Generation, and there was literally an entire scene where people talked about the Xeno. Do you remember those? Those little things that would like zap your zits and like send
No.
heat into your thing to kill the whatever. Like they would just work it into the dialogue. Like a friend of mine worked on this show called Fashion House, where they would talk about, oh, the Maybelline scholarship, blah blah blah, is happening,
Ah.
and all those Hallmark movies where they'll linger on like the Campbell's soup or the Daisy sour cream or whatever, or they'll have a whole plot point about the Campbell soup green bean casserole or making Chex Mix or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's gotten pretty shameless because nobody watches commercials anymore, or at least a lot fewer people do than they used to.
But isn't that how it was like in the dawn of television with stuff like cigarettes and washing machines?
Well, in the dawn of television, I think first of all, you had to watch it live, so you were kind of, unless you ran to the kitchen for a sandwich, you were
Right.
obviously watching it. And don't forget, like how much of early television was like the DuPont whatever hour, the
Yes.
Alcoa Steel Theater, the Kraft, music hall. Like those shows were like fully sponsored. In fact,
Yeah.
the last vestige of that is the Hallmark Hall of Fame, which has kind of quietly died in the last couple of years. Like they just stopped doing it, but yeah, that was, but it wasn't so much like they would work it into the plot necessarily, although they would have like the stars sort of like walk over to this other camera and like light up a cigarette and talk about Philip Morris. I occasionally listen to old radio shows. There's a Sirius XM channel that does them, or called Radio Classics, and they will have conversations about like soup or something that's like clearly the sponsor. I'm like, okay, so this just goes all the way back to the beginning of the mass media.
So I thought I was being clever when I drop in like a Coffee Bros or Athletic Brewing Company reference, but no,
You're part of a proud tradition of
a
shilling.
proud legacy of sharing products that we love. Couple things. Leo says off topic, but Alonso's hair is looking fabulous.
Oh, thanks. I just had it cut.
Yes, you look very, very spiffy. And someone else, oh, T Love Hater says you look like Alfonso Cuarón today.
Okay. I usually get Almodovar, but I'll take it. It's better that as long as I don't get George Lucas, I'm fine
You
with
get
it.
George Lucas a lot in the comments too. It's
When I wear
true.
plaid shirts, especially, yes, I get it.
Yes. Who knew that George Lucas is reviewing movies now? Yes, you get that sometimes. So more speaking of buying things you see on TV, the Indiana Jones fedora sold for $630,000 at
Wow.
auction. There is nothing from a movie that I want that badly.
Do we know which one? Like,
From Temple of Doom.
okay,
It's not even like the OG Raiders one that he grabs
right.
through the cave.
I mean, look, I always think about Gene Siskel and the Saturday Night Fever suit. Like, if you have a real connection to this stuff, you don't you want to go beyond the poster, But yeah, that's a lot of money. But I guess yeah, for Temple of Doom, no one's going to pay that for the fedora from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Right. Also, I think like let's say that you then want to donate it to, I don't know, the
The
Academy
Smithsonian
Museum, the
or the Academy.
Smithsonian, something like that. Like that makes sense. But just to have it in your house, like, come on over and see this hat that I bought. I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, you could say the same about art. You have
True.
private collectors who
Mm.
will buy, a Van Gogh and just like have it in their study. So yeah,
Calm Down Rich wants to know how much did the Poltergeist house sell for? I think it's still on the market.
I would say, did it sell? Because I know it was up. They were asking what 1.25 or something for it. I forget now.
No. 1 point to live in Simi Valley, to live in like a tract house, a 50-year-old tract house in Simi Valley. It was on the market for, let me look. Of course, I can't find it now. It was like
Uh,
1.1 something. It wasn't even 1.2.
okay.
It was I can't find it. I have to go to Zillow. Someone please look it up on Zillow for me. Look up the Poltergeist house for me. But I think it was, yeah, it was like 1 point
And the fact that it
something.
hasn't been renovated inside is a selling point for me. Like, if I were, if I wanted to live in the Poltergeist house, I would want it to look like the Poltergeist house, and apparently, yeah, it still does.
It does. The kitchen, yeah, they need to definitely renovate that kitchen.
Well, sure.
It is old.
You
So
can
that's
cook
happening.
steaks right on the counter, though.
Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1. Oh, 1.175 is what it was going for.
Ah, okay.
Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1 is now streaming on Max. Alonso, are you going to finally watch it?
Uh, maybe, I guess, sure. Like, who knows? Maybe I'll download it to my phone and watch it on the flight to Venice. I don't know.
That's exactly how Kevin Costner wants you to watch it, by the way.
Yes, and apparently, if he didn't bother to shoot it in anamorphic, like why not? Yeah, I guess I should, because at some point I will be called upon to review part two, if only just here on the show. So yeah, I mean, yeah, why not?
Okay. Well, eventually, yeah, part 2 is coming out, and we're going to
Yeah,
have to
I'm
review
missing
that.
it in Venice. It's showing after I leave, as is Joker, as is the Almodovar. So
That sucks.
yeah. No, now I know next time stay longer, because it's not as front loaded as it used to be.
That is a bummer. Cameron says one of the hundreds of Beavers mascot heads was stolen in Toronto. Maybe decades from now, when it's in the National Film Registry, it'll resurface as a valuable piece of memorabilia.
We can only hope.
Yes. Let's talk about Alain Delon.
Yes, a legend of French cinema. Going all the way back to like Luchino Visconti. He was one of the it boys of French cinema, and like he was a definite sex symbol in movies like Rocco and His Brothers and Swimming Pool. Um, you know, Complicated off-screen life, let's just say.
Wait, how so?
Uh,
I don't know this. Tell me.
oh, just like for example, the family right now is very publicly and loudly fighting over the estate. Like there's a lot of people are trying to sort of get their mitts on it. But just his I don't I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to get it wrong. But I know that in his personal life, he was like not always a peach.
Mhm.
But yeah, as a screen presence, I think definitely one of the iconic stars of French cinema, and like worked with a lot of really great filmmakers.
He was so beautiful.
Yeah.
He died at 88. Also dying at 88 this past week, Phil Donohue.
Phil Donohue, a giant of American media. We think about daytime talk shows as being like so sort of sleazy and circus like, which they did become. But I think that Donohue really set a tone that was like, I think without him, you don't get Oprah, for one thing. And I think he really sort of like laid out that groundwork
Totally.
for the kind of stuff you could talk about at that time of day. And in a lot of ways, I think really gave a voice to a lot of people who were not getting any kind of platform on television. I mean, certainly his record with having like trans activists and gays and lesbians talking about politics, talking about marriage, talking about issues and discrimination and that kind of thing was nobody else was doing when he did it. Having a lot of very progressive voices, people like Gloria Steinem on his show. And then was fired by MSNBC in the early 2000s for daring to be vocally against George Bush's invasion of Iraq.
Oh,
Yeah, not CNN.
interesting. Yeah.
MSNBC fired him for being too lefty about the war after 9/11. So yeah, he was principled, and I think really is one of the few people you can point to that sort of moved the medium of television in a positive direction.
Right. Yeah. Phil Donohue walks so Oprah could run for
Yeah.
sure. And not as sleazy as like Maury and Jerry Springer,
Right.
right? Like you mentioned that he would, give voice to a lot of gay people and different kinds of life
Yeah.
but not in a way that was like exploiting them or mocking them, I don't
Right.
think.
Not in the Ricky Lake, that drag queen stole my man episode or whatever.
Yeah, that's very specific. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like there seemed like I don't know, like it was a higher level of discourse, like it was actual journalism or something. And so
Yeah.
so it's different. And Teddy points out that Donahue was the first to let the audience ask questions of the guests.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes. Gage asks, have either of you seen Strange Darling? No, but I'm going to over the weekend. I would like to get to a review of it next week. Alonso's going to be gone, but I still want to get to a few things. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll have one of our friends join me for that.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but somebody online gave it the kind of review you can't resist, which is this movie's great and you should go in knowing nothing. So don't read this review, just go see it.
Oh,
So, you know, I will
great.
try and get to it maybe when I get back.
Great. I know that the guy who made it went to SMU. He's my fellow SMU
Oh,
Mustang.
all
So
right.
JT Malner
I
is
saw
upon me.
I had the TV on mute this morning, but Giovanni Ribisi, who's the cinematographer for this film, was
Mm.
on Channel 5 talking about it.
That's interesting to me too. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you don't usually see actor to cinematographer as a career transition.
yeah. Oh, Brent says he saw it. Did you like it? Leo says bring in Dave. Does Dave want to go see Strange Darling and talk about it with me? There you go. Well, good. Well, thanks, guys. We're gonna go and do our review of Blink Twice
Yes.
and Between the Temples. Earlier, we recorded reviews or recaps rather of some of the last Time Bandits episodes. So if you're over at our Patreon with us, we will have Time Bandits recaps for you
And if you're
coming up.
not, join our
If you're
Patreon.
not, join us. That would be great. And Bob's going to go see Strange Darling at 2 p.m. Bob is always so diligent about getting to everything. Let us know how it is.
Cool.
Brent dug it, so we'll have to catch up with that for sure. And then also coming up on our Patreon pretty soon, we're going to start recapping Only Murders in the Building and The Penguin
Agatha
and
all along.
Agatha All Along. It's a really busy September for
Yeah.
television, so yes, for sure. Andrea says, "Are you going to watch and review Close to You?" We've seen Close to You.
Yeah, we talked about it on KCRW. You can dig through the archives of press play we were on. Was it last Thursday?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, so get the episode from August 15th. We probably aren't doing a separate thing here, but
Yeah.
short version. I liked it a lot. Christy less so, but thought that the lead performance was really good.
We both liked Elliot Page in it a
Yeah.
lot. And like we didn't know as we were watching it that all of the dialogue is improvised.
Yeah,
But it makes sense in retrospect.
totally.
Yes. And someone else says, "Oh, when is your Beetlejuice recap coming out?" Next week.
Yes.
We watched the original Beetlejuice again, and we will have a review of that out next week before Beetlejuice comes out. So there you go. It's a busy time for all of us. Alonso's taking off on Monday for Venice. Have a great trip there, Alonso.
Thank you. Looking
Fly
forward to
safely.
it. I
Yeah,
appreciate
and
it.
we'll see you when we get back. And thanks to all of you for being here. No news is good news next Friday because Alonso's not going to be here, and it's my birthday. And I love you all, but I don't want to work that day.
Yeah, it's Labor Day. It's Labor Day weekend. It applies to Friday as well.
It's Labor Day weekend, and so I figure folks are going to be gone anyway. But also, like, it's my birthday, so I'm going to go do
Yeah.
something fun that's
Treat
different
yourself.
from this kind of fun. So I'm going to go jump in the ocean like I like to do on my birthday.
Nice.
So thanks for being here. Have a great rest of the day, great weekend, and thanks for all you contribute and all your questions and all that. And we'll see you very soon.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.